Republican National Committee is launching a new ad hitting Democrats for their ethics on Capitol Hill. Here with us now, Bill Bennett, who's the author of A Century Turns, New Hopes, New Fears. Want to talk about your book in just a moment. Great to have you on the show. But first of all, you heard the ad. I hope you saw it. What do you make of the situation the Democrats are in right now, Bill Bennett? They seem to have given the Republicans ammunition.
Well, I guess the cynic historian in me would say it's their turn. This happens in Washington. It happened for Republicans. We had Duke Cunningham. We had Mark Foley, names I don't even like to bring up. We had a lot of this. Now the worm turns, and it seems the Democrats are having these problems. Legitimate issues, worth talking about. The culture of corruption. It's why Americans are furious with Washington, actually pretty angry with both parties. But the Democrats have serious problems. These are some of them. And they have other serious problems because Americans don't trust government to do big jobs, at least big jobs at home.
Bill, what we were talking about before the break about the problems with our relationship with Israel right now, actually sort of circles back to your book. Explain.
Yeah, well, this 20 years, this is the third book in the series, America, the Last Best Hope. And this 20 years is, of course, a pivotal 20 years. The debate about Iraq is probably the second most important part of the book. Most important part, we do the transcript from NBC the morning of 9/11 and have a long treatment in 9/11. But Iraq and how we have sorted that out and America's place in the world, I think, is a pivotal issue. And you've seen the cover of Newsweek, you know. I know you're holding my book cover up, but this victory at last is really quite extraordinary.
Yeah.
And we have congratulations going out across the board on the war in Iraq, Joe Biden doing it and so on. The problem now is, ironically, for all those people who thought George Bush was hurting us in the wider world, American credibility is down since the ascendancy of Barack Obama. Don't listen to me, listen to Carville and Greenberg and their poll. Gap between Republicans and Democrats in terms of who do you trust more in national security is increasing. And respect does not seem to be...
Let me stop you there, Bill.
Yeah.
Why is that gap increasing? There is, and I've got to say, this is one of the more surprising parts of the poll, where Americans believe that our credibility around the world is down now from where it was when George W. Bush and Dick Cheney were in the White House. But a bigger surprise for me was a better job on national security. Republicans almost have a 20-point lead, despite the fact that Barack Obama, when it comes to Afghanistan, has been pretty darn hawkish.
Yeah.
What's going on?
He's been pretty hawkish, and let's give him credit, too, in Pakistan, the use of the drones and so on. But they seem less tough because I think they are less tough. I think the whole civilian trial thing has hurt them enormously. I think American people did not like the idea of the interrogators or the lawyers for the Justice Department being brought up on possible charges and indictments. And I think most of it is a kind of waveringness and uncertainty, a dithering on the part of the president.
All right.
Back to Israel just quickly, because they don't wait for the vice president to leave. They wait for him to get there to tell them that they're going ahead with settlements. Look at Ahmadinejad. I mean, just defying us. The president gives speeches overseas, but very little respect. George Bush, a lot of people didn't like him, but they knew that he meant what he said, and he was probably going to follow up with it.
I'd like to ask about the comment you just made about this administration seeming less tough because they are less tough, because that flies in the face of what we just said, what you just said. Increase in drone attacks, more al-Qaeda kills, I'll add to that. The increase in troops in Afghanistan, giving the generals exactly what they want to move forward there and to be aggressive. Maybe they seem less tough because there are a lot of folks criticizing them, including former vice presidents, saying and using words like dithering, when you actually look at this administration's actions, and they don't seem less tough, do they?
Well, as I was trying to be fair, not just to take one side of the case, I do support the president and his use of the drones, and I support the use of the increase in Afghanistan. It's not exactly what all the generals asked for. They asked for more troops than that. But the whole posture toward the defendants, the al-Qaeda group, this business that's arisen now at the Justice Department, which they're running away from, that they had 7 or 8 or 9 lawyers who were defending al-Qaeda. If they did, they did. You know, they should come forward forward and say they did. And again, I think it is dithering when it comes to some place like Iran. Will somebody explain to me how this guy who was schooled in civil rights, was a community organizer, a voice for the oppressed, cannot take the side of the Iranian people? Why he cannot stand up and take the side of these people in very clear and unequivocal terms. He hasn't, and I think it has hurt him, and I think this is part of the reputation that's quite deserved.
In your book, Bill, you talk about how 1988 to 2008 was one of the most pivotal times in American history. Why do you believe that?
Well, because we thought that history was over. Remember the works that talked about the end of history, Francis Fukuyama. War is over, make war no more, and that was it. We would go into some kind of Hague-type world peace. Charles Krauthammer wrote an article in the 90s, said this period will be shattered by either ice or fire. It turned out to be fire, the fire of 9/11. Changed the rules, changed everything, changed the way we thought about warfare, and again threw into sharp relief this question of America, and is America still the last best hope? That cauldron was played out in Iraq with lots of debates back and forth. Now that Iraq is a success, there's a lot of reconsidering going on. I heard you guys, been listening to you guys for 4 hours, I guess. How long have you been on? 2 hours?
Well, it's about an 8-hour show. We're about halfway through. As Don Rumsfeld said of Morning Joe, it's a long, hard slog.
It just seems that way. No, but you know, you got Tom Friedman saying Bush was always right about getting democracy in Iraq.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting period.
All right, now if we could just, we've figured out, Mika, how to you be nice. He's an Eve. We figured out. Bill, she's just steaming. Thank God it's towards you instead of me for once. But if we can figure out a way to get Iraq functioning, can't we figure out a way to bring Williams and Amherst closer together?
No.
Never happened.
No, we agree.
You guys do agree.
Take an easier case. Start with Wesleyan.
Oh, very nice.
Okay, we'll do Wesleyan first. And then it's like the domino theory.
We need to talk to Meacham about that headline again.
I love
Bill
that
Bennett.
headline. For Bill, you know, she just hasn't been the same since Meacham put victory at last on the cover of Newsweek.
I know.
I
know.
Thank you.
Amazing story.
Bill, I can't wait to read your book.
Thanks
I read them all. Thanks so much. A Century Turns, new hopes, new fears, and Bill has given us a lot to talk about over the next couple hours.